And there's the famous Dome of the Rock, the Moscow Omar, where all the fighting is going on at present with the Arabs and the Jews, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now the most handsome looking bloke is there.
Try and pick Jim.
There's a lot to pick from, see if you can pick him.
I haven't got my glasses on.
I'll give you a clue. I'm on the second row. You only got to pick the most handsome bloke there. It should be very easy to do.
Yeah?
Right.
Very good.
That's me.
Is it?
Very good.
Yeah. And that bloke there, his name was Sydenham, and I'd never met him before. And I paddled up with him and went around Jerusalem together, and he started to talk about Brisbane. I said, "What part of Brisbane did you come from?" He said, I was a gardener at Nudgee College.
Oh,
Really?
serious?
Yeah. I had never met him in my lifetime. I never knew him from a bar of soap.
No.
And that here he was a gardener up there.
Yep.
So we had a ball together there.
Yeah.
So which one's you, Jim?
That one there.
Right.
So Scott, you have to remember that Jim was in the 9th.
Yeah.
And the 6th were the ones that were taken away, the experienced troops.
Yeah.
Mm.
The ones, was it Operation Compass?
Yeah.
Where they'd...
Well, the 6th Division were the first ones to go overseas.
Yeah.
They were Menzies mounted, and they had about 12 or 18 months over there just waiting for the action, you see. And in the end, Graziani, I think, was the Italian general, he came down with 350,000 men crowding straight down the coastline, and he hit our blokes, and our fellas, I wasn't with them then, our fellas built them back, and they ended up pushed them right back through to different places, right through to Tobruk, tied them up there, and then went straight on right up to Benghazi. And it's a bit harder exactly. Anyway, we pushed them back, and then our division, which was the 9th Division then, they'd been completely untrained. We only had rifles. I had never seen a Bren gun. I had never seen I was an expert with a Maxim gun and a Lewis gun and things like that, but they were all the First World War.
Yeah.
I'd never seen a Bren gun. And we had to face up these Germans, and when the tanks burst their way through, we were instructed to not fight them because we had nothing to hit them with, just lie down and let them go over the top of you, like lie down. And you could see the tanks coming in towards you. And you just lie there and hope to God the parapet wasn't going to collapse. It was only a foot or two deep, and the tanks come straight over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And on the back of them were the German soldiers. Now, up to that time, the Germans had never been defeated. They had forced their way through Belgium,
France.
Holland, France, and they had Dunkirk. They pushed the British back at Dunkirk,
Yeah.
and they just swept straight through. And the thing was that Rommel used to send his tanks in, and of course our blokes were never used to this sort of fighting. And once the tanks broke through, they thought, well, that's the finish. They surrendered. So when the Germans that struck our blokes in Tobruk here, they tried the same thing, but we were instructed not to fight them face to face, lie down and let them come. So after they crowded over the top of us, and I tell you what, there's nothing more terrifying than seeing about a 15-ton tank coming right across to, and these bloody big wheel things going around like that, and you're lying in a thing about 18 inches, 2 feet deep, and you're hoping to God that the weight of the tank's not going to bring the lot in on top of you, and these things are going to grind you up.
Yeah.
So after they'd gone, all the German troops were sitting on the back of these tanks. They were up in the past. They'd had a ball. They used to sit there, and as soon as the tanks broke through, they'd jump off and they'd clean everybody up. So what our blokes did, we just lay there and let them pass. And then after they'd passed, they're looking ahead, and it was just a matter of getting stuck in and shooting them off the tanks. And the blokes in the tanks didn't know what was happening to them because it never happened before.
Yeah.
and they're forcing their way through. They're determined they're going to hit this Tobruk and take the port. But what they didn't know was that we had what they call the Royal Horse Artillery. They were a British artillery unit, and they had 25-pounder guns. So we never intended to hit tanks.
No.
They'd go about 5 miles, terrific, powerful thing. But what these blokes did, they just sat there behind their guns. They never had to get any predictors or anything like that. They just opened sights. And when they come in, they opened fire. Well, they just blashed the hell out, and there were German tanks lying everywhere. And over a period of time, when they kept coming back in again, I'm not quite sure. It says here, I think we captured something like 1,500 German troops were captured. German and Italian troops were captured, and it absolutely frightened the life out of them, because it could never happen. It couldn't possibly happen, was what they said, you see. So they got stuck in anyway, and day after day they came back in, and the only thing really that saved us from being pushed in was the dust storms. You've got no idea what the dust storms were like there. You'd get 2 or 3 days and you could not see 12 feet in front of you. I mean, if you wouldn't see these trees here. It was just complete dust, and it was hundreds of feet high in the air. And you could just lie there, and if you went to break someone up to go on guard, they'd have to get up and then shake all the dust out their eyes first before they could even see where they were going. And we were cut down to a water bottle of water a day. That was in those days. That was about a pint and a half, and that had to be for your tea, to clean your teeth, to wash your feet. So you could imagine how much washing it did. We just didn't wash when we were there. We just, just sort of, and then you had to put some water in towards to make tea. Had to give some of it. And at night time, we used to be looking out, watching out to no man's land all the time, and we became experts actually. We'd crawl out through the wire, and you'd lie anywhere. You'd know there'd be tracks were coming down. You'd wait there, and you'd see blokes bringing up food to the other fellas. See, the Germans were there, so, and you'd clean them up, and you'd go for your life back into your trenches again. And for food, I've got a few notes here. It's almost impossible to remember exactly what's what.
Move this other way.
Yeah.
This is what Scot's doing the thing on is the soldier's personal hardships.
Oh, all right. Yeah, all right. Okay. Well, let's see what my notes have said here. I've been gigging every year. I've been going up to the school at St Joseph's and giving them a talk, so I used to try and remember it all, and in the end I start to write it down, you see. Now, one of the main things that a lot of people say, why were you called a rat? Well, we were called as a word, a sentence of contempt to us. There was a bloke named Haw Haw. He used to broadcast over to the BBC, and he was an Irishman, but he defected to Germany and he became a spy, and he was. And we used to call him Lord Haw Haw because he spoke, ho, ho, ho. And how are you in Tobruk today? They tell me you've got no Air Force. Well, listen, don't worry about that. We'll send one. We'll send our Air Force for you. And they'll be there at 5 o'clock in the morning before sunrise. Our Air Force will be there to give you all the help you need, you see. And you'll be digging like rats, digging your way in to get away from us. And they ended up calling us rats. So therefore, we adopted it, right? We're rats to the brook. And that's why we were called rats. Anyway, they got him in the end, and they strung him up when they got him at the end of the war. They got him as a traitor.